This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Your tour continues, man. Asheville, North Carolina on the 5th. That's a matinee show. On the 6th, you're in Greenville, this time in a no DQ match, once again against Ricky and Robert, teaming up with Ole. You're going to do a TV taping, and this time you'll be tagging with Tully here in Spartanburg to take on Nelson Royal and Tim Horner. There's that same name we were talking about. Mm-hmm. On the 9th, you're back in Baltimore, working second from the top. It's Ron Garvin. How about that? Ron Garvin teaming with Ricky Morton to take on Ole and Arn. Obviously, these guys know each other like the back of their hand when you're talking about Ricky and Robert. But when Ron Garvin is in there with Ricky, it adds a different dynamic, but it's probably fun for a little change of pace, huh?
Yeah, because they're completely different. Ronnie Garvin was a badass. You know, he would stretch you. He would chop your head off. He would headbutt you, cross your eyes. He was a guy that they believed would kick anybody on the crew's ass. And he probably would have. And you put him in there with that same dynamic of Ricky Morton selling to give Ronnie Garvin, who's pacing up and down that apron, that tag, man, it made for some more drama, which would be totally different from Ricky and Robert.
Now you're in Des Moines, Iowa at Veterans Auditorium. This is a Central State show where we're still at least pretending to wave that banner. And the main event is going to have the NWA World Champion Ric Flair against the TV champion Dusty Rhodes. But second from the top, just like the night before, it's Arn and Ole in a losing effort to the Rock and Roll Express. You wrestled these guys in every variation of tag team possible over the years. Did you prefer when you knew you were going to be taking on Ricky and Robert? Did you prefer Ole? Did you prefer Tully? Who had better matches with the Rock and Rolls, in your opinion?
Well, they were totally different. You know, Ole would go out and beat the crap out of those guys and make them fight him. And in the audience's eyes, that's something a babyface has to be able to do. You know, when he's down and he's hurt, you have to know that he's going to have the resilience to not quit. That's the kind of match Ole and I would have with him. Tully and I would shine those guys up a lot more, and it was a higher pace with those guys looking really, really good. And it was easy to do because they were really, really over. But my choice, even though there were two different matches, probably enjoyed Tully and I. It just was a more action-packed match, I believe.
You're going to be in the main event at a high school show here in Charleston, South Carolina. Probably a fundraiser if I had to guess. It's Wahoo and Ron Garvin taking on Ole and Arn. Then we're doing TV again on the 12th. Now, this is actually going to air on the 18th. We're knee deep in football season, so that's kind of the story. But it would be Ole and Arn taking on Keith Patterson and Vernon Deaton. The next day, we're back in Central States territory. We're in St. Louis, and there's only 2,500 fans there. And we've got two tag guys in singles action. Ricky Morton is going to defeat Arn Anderson. You know, the whole match, usually, I shouldn't say the whole match, but a lot of the matches back then with the Rock and Roll Express were based on, we're going to beat up Ricky, we're going to cut the ring off, we're going to tease it forever, and then eventually here comes the hot tag. Robert's going to come in and just clear house. In a match like this, though, where it's a singles match, how is it different? I mean, obviously there is no hot tag component, but did you like working Ricky as a single, or was it just second nature to work him in a tag?
It was heaven working with both those guys. They were vulnerable. They could be beat. The audience knew they could be beat. Even more so, they knew they could be beat up. And when you had that, you know, we were bullies, and people didn't like us very much at this point in time. We hadn't gained their respect over the course of decades of going back and watching it on YouTube and going, oh, wait a minute, let me look at this. This looks a little different, me being 40 and me being 15. Those guys were just custom made because they were so over and beloved by the fans that pretty much any heel was better the next day after working with those guys. No matter what the finish of the match was, no matter how long it went, anything, just being in that ring and getting a rub with those guys, and they could beat you right in the middle. It certainly didn't hurt you, and it certainly helped them, because some way, somehow, that's what they managed to do every night as a team, pull it out and win. And that's what got them over. I never saw anybody lose their way to the top.
No, it's kind of hard to do. Let's talk about, hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.